Thank you for joining Sarge's recap. It has been a while. This is my first video of 2021, and we hope it's going to be a good year. Results are not so promising.
Oh shit, it is 2021, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oops.
What?
I don't know. Like, this whole time, I saw 2021 as the year the other day, and I was like, that's not accurate. And then I was like, oh wait, that isn't completely accurate. Holy shit.
So,
I don't want to talk about it.
just so everyone's aware, the Mad Max Day After Tomorrow, and a whole bunch of other apocalyptic movies were made in 2020 about 2021. Again, they were also made about 1986, so no one actually gives a damn. So there you go. Today's gonna be a story time video. I'd be mad if that wasn't adorable. And it's going to be about another round of bad coworkers. We seem to have a lot of these fuckers.
Yeah.
Might their chance be some repeats? Gonna be totally honest with you, yeah, because I don't remember what I said last time. And I know sure as fuck I definitely don't remember what Sapphire said last time. By the way, a video explaining Sapphire will be coming sometime.
I know we keep saying that. It'll happen.
But we mean it, we promise.
It's just, we busy. More specifically, I'm busy.
I was about to say, more like every time we try to record it, like, we've tried to record it, what, 3 times, and the one time you weren't up for recording. Yeah, the time Saf completely spaced and literally went to BB Bop.
And the time after that, I was asleep.
Yeah, so, by the way, if you guys hear that we're supposed to make a video, and Sapphire specifically says that we're going to make a video, and then she doesn't, and comes back and says she had BB Bop, do fully know that instead of the video, she went to go do BB Bop. I swear she would live on that place.
She doesn't already?
Anyway, so let's go back to the way back yonder of yesteryear. The hardware store that Hitsugai and I work at used to have a flooring manager. Now, I'm not going to say this dude's name, but he didn't work there recently, so if any of you actually know
Which manager?
It was a flooring when I first got there.
Okay, so it wasn't when I was there.
Yeah, this is back in, like, circa 2017.
Okay.
Now, he was alright. Not my favorite.
You in business?
Oh, apparently I have to intercept a convoy. However will I do that in a fucking jet? So, anyway, this guy used to take really long lunch breaks. Now, there's nothing objectively wrong with that, because he would save his 15-minute breaks and just use those in combined with his lunch to take an hour-and-a-half lunch break. So, I didn't really hate that because I was at the time overnight and I didn't really care.
Fair.
But everything changed the day the Fire Nation attacked.
Oh.
Because you see, he not only took really long lunch breaks, he also convinced some other managers to start doing it too.
That's frustrating.
And this eventually got to the night manager, who just thought that they changed policy from an hour lunch to an hour and a half lunch. However, I'm not too sure how to actually... But what he ended up doing, so he told everyone, alright, so I think they're doing hour and a half lunches now, but I have to be certain. After all, he didn't want to actually tell us that and it not be true.
Yeah, fair.
So he decided, I'm just gonna, you know, try to verify this. And every time he tried to verify it, the only answer he got was look it up. And so I ended up having to talk with this floor manager. I did not want to steal that APC, so I just blew it up.
Fair.
But instead of, like, you know, anyone, and I mean anyone at all, helping him, everyone kind of brushed him off. And this is kind of where I got sick of the night crew stigma. Because it wasn't helping. So I ended up trying to talk to this guy. I'll call him...
Okay.
Montgomery. So I ended up trying to talk to Montgomery a few times. And he wouldn't talk to me because, quote, I wasn't a manager. I didn't know what I was talking about.
So, being a fuckwit.
Yeah. And so one day he needed help moving some boxes or something. And he ordered 2 of the night crew guys to do it. It wasn't me because I was already in my area and stalking. In my area, luckily, was not full. But
Please tell me you did petty revenge and was like, I can't do that. I'm not a manager. I'm not smart enough.
oh no, I did one better. So he eventually came and got me and said, oh, well, you know, your fellow night crew guys aren't really doing this up to my standard. And I told him to go look it up as to what the lowest standard was. Because I decided that instead of just version A of petty revenge being, I'm gonna just, you know, do what he said in the moment, I decided that I was going to really, really fuck with this guy and follow Lowe's policy down to the letter. I know I just said where I work, I don't really give a shit. I've said it in previous videos.
Fair.
And so, anyway, we decided, and by we, I do mean me and Sapphire, she got involved in this point, that we're gonna, again, follow his logic down to the letter. And then a thought occurred to me. Because he kept bragging about how he knew a lot and how he was, like, overqualified for the job, but took it as if you asked him, he was doing charity.
I see.
And the only charity work he could do was get away from it. Because he smelled horrible. No, like, this dude smelled worse than Toothless.
Toothless didn't smell that bad most of the time. It's, Blonde Bimbo that does.
Oh, he smelled worse than her, too. And now this night crew manager at the time, who I will remain nameless, probably because I don't know how he would feel about the story getting out. Also don't want him to get in trouble. But, you know, It got to the point that this dude's hygiene was actually starting to affect work, because we asked him on several occasions, but dude, do you even know what the fuck, like, soap is? To which he had a superiority complex up until he got fired. And he got fired for one of the funniest things I've ever seen.
Okay.
So, this is where I'm gonna activate pro-revenge. This is where I'm gonna say this is pro-revenge. Because, mind you, up until now, we've been doing small little shit that he's just been like, you need to do this, that, and the other. And we've been doing it kinda half-assing. And I mean, we as a night crew, so just so you know what you're dealing with. But he started driving power equipment around. Now, in order to get power equipment license, you have to be trained.
Yes.
And our night crew trainer was like, I want to see who trained this dude. I want to see who had to stand close enough to show this guy how to drive power equipment. I need to buy this dude a beer.
Fair.
And instead of finding a name, we found that he signed his own paperwork.
So no one actually trained him?
Nope. To which we promptly turned him in, and he asked, well, what the fuck, how the fuck did I get caught, da-da-da-da-da, you know, essentially. He didn't use those words. His exact words were, why were you snooping around? I said, you wouldn't understand, you're not a Lowe's employee.
Oh.
Yes, and that is my bad, I'm gonna say that's pro-revenge, but I have another story for a bad coworker from a place I don't work at anymore that I can be a little less vague about. Hitsugaya, do you have one?
I do. Also from a place I don't work anymore. And this is petty revenge.
Petty revenge? Oh, snap.
So, to set the scene, I was a lowly employee working at this company for, at this point, about 2 months. In this 2 months' time, the original store manager who had hired me had been fired for a bullshit reason that I'll get into later.
Am I gonna recognize where you worked?
Probably not.
Have you told me?
This story specifically, no. The job that this was, yeah, I've told you that I've worked there, but I don't think you'll recognize this story because I don't think I've actually told you this story.
All right. Proceed.
So, 1 second. Gotta grab a Dragon Ball. Where'd it go? Where'd it go? Where'd it go? Got it! Woo! Fuck you, androids! Woo! Anyway, so I had worked at this company for, you know, not too long. Not too long. Damn, you're so shit. I gotta see on this mission. This bitch goes, I sacrificed my nap time for this.
Which, by the way, side tangent, if you're on Xenoverse 2...
This ship!
Beerus and Vegeta have the best sarcastic comments. It's like they looked at the voice actors and said, just be sarcastic, I don't give a fuck. Oh boy. Anyway, And in that 2 months' time, I had become friends with the assistant store manager, who is now the store manager. And I was, I proved to be a really good worker. I was originally hired as a cashier, was quickly changed departments because they saw how much shit I could get done and was like, oh fuck, let's put her, you know, as a cart runner and shit to put basically doing stock because she could stock this shit super fucking fast. I was faster than the people unboxing this shit was. I would have to wait for them.
I'm fast as fuck, boy.
Yeah.
Did you ever say that to them?
Once to my manager because I knew she'd get the reference. She was a huge nerd. And I do mean huge. I told her I wanted to schedule some time off for OhioCon and she said on one condition. I said, what? And she said, take a picture with this specific voice actor that's going to be there for me and send it to me. I said, done. And I did. It was Bulbasaur's voice actress.
Oh, that's adorable!
Yeah, I was dressed as Sanji that year and I sent her a picture of me.
That is actually adorable. Your manager sounds like a sweetheart.
She was. She absolutely was. My favorite manager that I've ever had. Other than probably the one at the food place I worked at. And that's just because he plays D&D with me. But she's also had, like, every job. She was a roadie for a while. She worked at an antique store. She worked at the Lego store. She, set up all the shit for bands and stuff when they would come. To perform. Like, she was good manager. Anyway. So, you know, we had one of the, supervisors quit. And I had applied for the supervisor position. Didn't get it, but that was fine, you know, whatever. I wasn't in school at the time because I had to take a semester off. So, you know, I wasn't all that upset that I didn't get it. I was like, yeah, you know, it is what it is. I don't give a fuck. But the one supervisor that was also there was mad because, she didn't want me to have the job because she knew that I would do a better job than her and would show her up because I actually fucking do my job. Now let me tell you what this supervisor was like.
You know it's gonna be a good story when Hitsuga's voice slightly raises and says, "No one can tell you."
Yeah, so this, when I was still just a lowly cashier, there were things that I would need manager approval on. One of which was for employee discounts. I could not authorize an employee discount for an employee from another store without a managerial staff member there to say, yes, that is in fact a valid employee ID for this place. Let me go ahead and okay this discount.
Which, by the way, small mom and pop shops don't do this.
Was not a small mom and pop shop.
I'm just saying, because that's
yes.
where I typically see it.
Yeah.
And the reason why I say that is your cashiers will not follow that rule. They will find a way around it.
Yeah. I couldn't. The system physically would not let me check someone out if I did not have the manager's numbers and login information.
I just kamikaze my Hydra.
And I just kicked Vegeta's ass. As base form Majin. So yes, I would call her to come up for, and this is something that happened on more than one occasion, very, very frequently, pretty much every time I had to call her up for anything. But I'm using the employee discounts as a thing. So my fiance.
Example. The word is example.
Yeah.
Because my name is Dende.
So my fiance, at the time was my boyfriend, is now fiance, worked at our sister store up the street. And part of the discount thing was that at the time employees were not allowed to buy anything from their store because employees had been caught hiding things until the end of their shift and then buying them at the end of their shift without it ever going out to the floor, and management was like, no, fuck you, which, you know, understandable. My fiance had come in and gotten something from the store for me that I wanted, and he also comes in and looks at the CDs because we have used CDs on the cheap. And I call up for the employee discount, and I also have to call up. Now, this was a double here. I was technically not allowed to check him out because we were dating.
That I both do and don't understand.
Yeah. Now, my store manager, for me specifically, she didn't give a fuck because she knew both me and my fiance, and just actually didn't give a fuck because she knew that we weren't going to cheat the system. Because we both needed the job for school. But she also wasn't there that day. So I had to call the supervisor up. I went ahead and checked him out anyway, and I called her up to do the employee discount. One call, nada. 5 minutes later, I do another call, nada. 5 minutes later, I do another call, still nada. My fiance finally was like, alright, it's almost dinner time and you're off in like an hour, and I know you're coming over for dinner, so I'm just gonna say fuck it and pay full price. And I was like, okay. And finally, 5 minutes after he left, she finally came up and was like, hey, what did you want? I said, oh, we had an employee who wanted an employee discount, but you took too long, so he just left without it. And she went, oh, okay, and left. Now, later on that day, I had asked where she was. I had asked one of the other employees, hey, do you know where she was when she was like, you know, MIA? And they went, nope. Now, mind you, this was a small store, okay? This was like the size of a mom and pop shop. It wasn't, but it was the size of one. So there was literally no place this bitch could have been hiding. Alright? Could not find her. She was the only supervisor in the building, so she wasn't allowed to leave the building. Couldn't find her. At all. And this was not an unusual occurrence. So finally skip ahead to Halloween, and that year the company allowed us to, every day that we worked in the month of October, we could dress up in a costume so long as it was appropriate, meaning, you know, no booty skirts and, you know, anything hanging out. Me being a cosplayer, I had a different costume for every day of the week. Did I take advantage of that? Oh, fuck yes.
Hello, Trunks. Thanks for joining Sergeant Recap.
Hmm?
Oh, I could hear him through my headset.
Oh, Trunks? Yeah. So, I, like, legitimately... I had, like, a Luffy cosplay, I had a Sanji cosplay, I had an Ash cosplay, Wookiee, and, Luigi. And that's what I dressed as. And, you know, I would trade those out or whatever. So one day, I was in my Wookiee costume, and that thing is like an actual pound of fluff and fuzz and fur, which at the moment seemed like a good idea because it was cold as shit outside, but then it quickly turned into a bad idea when I realized how much walking around I did. It was a good thing I had shorts and a tank top on underneath, because during breaks and stuff, I definitely took that off and sat there like, I can't breathe. Did that stop me from wearing it? Fuck no. I still did. So, I came back like 2 days later and I had the Wookiee costume on again because I was too lazy to do the Luffy makeup. And my manager looks at me and she's like, you worked last night, right? I was like, yeah. She goes, did that supervisor get done pricing all these new goods like she was supposed to? I said, I don't think so. I didn't see her out and I didn't actually see her all night. And she went, what? And I'm like, oh yeah, I didn't see her at all. And she went, huh, interesting. Hey, can you price these new goods for me? And I was like, sure. So my entire shift was spent sitting in the break room pricing these new goods. Literally my entire shift. By the time I was done, I had an hour left and I hadn't taken a single break because I was sitting on my ass all day in the break room and I didn't give a fuck.
That's kind of glorious.
And what's even better, so the supervisor had come in, the one that was supposed to be doing it, and she comes in and she sees me pricing all of the new goods, which a normal employee wasn't supposed to be doing in the first place. But the store manager knew that I got shit done, and she had a ton of other stuff to do because she had to get ready for the auction. So she's like, fuck it, please do this for me. And I was like, you're asking me to sit on my butt all day and price things? Hell yeah, sign me the fuck up. And that is what I did. And the supervisor comes in, takes one look at me sitting in the break room with like the pricing gun and the little sheet of SKUs and everything, and she goes, hey, what you doing? I looked at her and straight went, your job. She got really upset with me after that and left. Well, at some point, two of my friends had come in for their lunch breaks. And, well, it was at that point that I realized I hadn't taken a break the whole day. So I took a 15 and continued to sit there and talk with my friends. I just, put the pricing gun down for a moment. And by that point, our store manager had come in. And she sat down with us. Now, normally she had a working lunch where one of us would go get her lunch with whatever we got, and she would sit in the office and do paperwork while she ate. And to the point where she was such a good manager, we legit would look at her and go, have you eaten today? And she had to think about, and if she had to think about it for too long, we went, what do you want for lunch? And we didn't give her an option. Because she would frequently forget to eat.
Sounds like somebody else I know.
Yeah.
And for the viewers at home, no, that was not directed at Hetsugaya.
No, that was directed at Sapphire. I mean, it kind of could be applied to me, but not as much. So... she had come in to sit down with actually taking a break for once to eat. And we were in the middle of talking about why we hated this supervisor, and right when our store manager had come in and sat down, and we all shut up, because at the end of the day, yeah, we know that she's cool, but still, we probably shouldn't be bagging on a supervisor in front of our store manager. That's probably not the best thing to do. She sat down, said, I'm off the clock. I don't care. What is she really like? And mind you,
FYI, those of you who have not had a manager like this, whether they are off the clock or not doesn't actually matter. If they tell you this, they need that information for whatever reason.
Yeah. Now, at this point in time, myself and my two friends that were in the break room were three of the hardest working employees in this bitch. in our respective departments. I was the best cart runner that was there. My one friend was the best cashier that was there, and my other friend was the best clothes runner that was there. She could run a rack and pick out all the clothes that needed to be cycled out super fucking quick, like faster than anyone. So we were the best in our respective departments. And we all three were thinking about quitting because of this supervisor. And so when our store manager was like, okay, be level with me. How bad is she really? We all three looked at each other, shrugged, because we knew for a fact it wasn't going to come back on us because of this manager, and looked at her and said, we'll level with you. We want to quit because of her. And she went, please no.
Aww.
And she's like, what is so bad about working with her and everything? Because normally they didn't work on the same shift. And if they did, we would always call her up instead of the supervisor because we knew she would get shit done. So we were like, okay, well, she disappears for hours at a time. We have no idea where she is. She, we'll call her up to the front for something that we need a manager's override for. Never shows up. To the point where customers have been complaining about it. And like, we just had a long list of most of which I forget now because this was like 4 years ago. But still, like, it was a long list. And she went, and by the time we were all done, our store manager looked at us and went, I should eat lunch in the break room more often. Got up and walked away. Now, the next day was when she was
Side note, you should eat lunch more often.
Yeah. Actually, one of us said that to her. We looked at her and said, you should also eat lunch more often. And she said, hush, and walked out. And, so she, the next day was when she set up the auction. So she was getting everything ready for it the day before, and like the day after is when it actually was, and then she set up for it afterwards. And normally, because she's up by the registers, setting up the auction and tearing it down, which took her all day, by the way. Normally on Sunday, she comes in to open, and her schedule says that she's supposed to leave at 3. She didn't leave until we closed at 7. She would be there from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. if she was lucky. Sometimes she'd be there from open to close. And that's because that's just how long it took to set up the auction afterwards. Because she knew what she was talking about because she used to work at an antique store, so she knew what was actually good. She put everything strategically because she knew that some of the people that came to our auction also went to the auction at her sister's store, which takes place an hour before. So she would put the better stuff in the further case so that the people that spend a lot of money would be there for that if they had gone to the first auction. And she put a lot of thought into this, and we got a lot of revenue from it. Case in point, one of the objects that we had went for $5,000. That right there was half of our budget for that day. Our company wanted us to get 10K, and we hit half of it with one item. And the company CEO, or the district manager, not the CEO told him that it was a stupid decision, but the district manager wanted to get rid of the auctions later on. And we looked at him and went, are you dumb? And the CEO looked at the numbers like, because we tried it there, side tangent, we tried it the district manager's way, and we got rid of the auction for like 3 weeks. And the CEO goes, "Why did all of the revenue go down for this store and the sister store?" Because we got the most money out of the auctions. And he went, "Oh, I got rid of the auctions." And she goes, "Are you fucking stupid?" Called up my manager and the sister's store manager and said, "Don't listen to him. Please put the auction back. He's a dumbass." And I was in the room during the call, so I know this is what she said. Because I was a stand-in supervisor at the time because our other supervisor had gone on maternity leave, so I was taking place for her. I had to go in to count the safe, and I heard this phone call, and I just went, "Oh!" And my store manager was looking at me like, "Shh, don't laugh. You're not supposed to be in here." But yeah. Anyways, I tangent over. So yeah, while she was there setting up for this auction, she went, "Okay, I need you to pretend I'm not here. I want to see what happens when she's quote-unquote the only supervisor here." And this was like right before I became a supervisor. And we're just like, okay. So for the next 4 hours, there was a lot of any call that we would normally ask our store manager for, because she was literally 3 steps away from the register, and it would take her all of 30 seconds to do the override for us, or to step in and help make the line shorter. Although normally I got called for that because I was wicked fast on the cash rep. But anyway, any call that we would have asked our store manager for, because A, she was right there, and B, she was a lot quicker, we had for the supervisor. 4 hours later, my store manager walked away from the auction after she put everything in the cases, locked them, not where they were going to be permanently, but put them in the cases, locked them, tracked down the store supervisor, or not the store supervisor, the supervisor on duty, and had a very long chat with her. I found out, like, 3 months after I quit, that she had been fired because a customer came in, complained to the store manager about her, and when the store manager went to confront her, she said, "I didn't do that, and I'm tired of everyone telling me that I do nothing around here." Turned around and left. And by that point, my store manager, who still had my number, texted me and was like, "Hey, you want to come back? She's gone."
Oh!
Unfortunately, I was back in school, and
we're gonna have to have a part 2 to this.